Ray never liked big stations. The air always felt too clean, the light too bright, and the people too perfect. Still, he needed the job. After the Earth Coalition stopped most deep space projects, it became hard for someone like Ray to find good work. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist. He was a fixer. Pipes, wires, engines he worked with his hands. That's why he ended up on Outpost 3, orbiting the planet Daryl 5. Daryl 5 had become important after the first peaceful contact with the Velari, a tall, graceful alien race with silver skin and glowing eyes. Most humans found them strange. Ray just found them quiet. They didn't talk much. They moved like water and spoke with calm voices. The station was a shared space now, run by both humans and Velari. Ray didn't interact with them much. He stayed in his sector, fixed what needed fixing, and kept his head down. On one slow day, Ray finished his shift early. He had grease on his hands and a wrench still tucked in his belt. He decided to take the long hallway near the garden dome. It was quiet there. He liked the way the plants smelled. Most people avoided the dome since it was partly Velari space. Ray didn't care. He walked there often just to breathe. That's when it happened. He turned a corner, heading toward a water station, and bumped into someone. Not hard, just a quick touch. He looked up and saw her. A Velari woman stood in front of him. She looked younger than most Velari he had seen, though he could never really tell their age. Her silver skin caught the soft lights of the corridor. Her eyes, bright and clear like ice under sunlight, stared at him. She had touched his wrist as they collided. She didn't move. Her hand stayed on him for just 1 second too long. Then her eyes widened. "You're not from this race," she said softly. Ray blinked. "What?" She pulled her hand back slowly. Her face was still calm, but her voice had changed. There was something behind it, surprise, maybe fear. She looked at him again, carefully, like she was trying to read something deeper than his face. "You carry a signal," she said. "It is not human, not Velari." Ray frowned. "I don't know what you mean. I'm just me." The woman didn't reply right away. She seemed to be thinking. Finally, she stepped back and gave a slight bow, the way all Velari did when ending a conversation. "My name is Mira," she said. "I should not have touched you, but now I must tell someone." "Wait," Ray said. "Tell someone what?" But she was already walking away. Ray stood there, confused. He rubbed his wrist where she had touched him. It felt the same as always. His skin, his heartbeat, his breath. Nothing had changed, but the look in her eyes stuck with him. It wasn't just surprise. It was like she had found something important. Later that night, Ray sat in his bunk and stared at the ceiling. He tried to shake off the moment, but he couldn't. What had she meant? He had no special blood. He was born on a mining colony, raised by station workers, lived his life fixing broken machines. His parents were both human. He had never even left the human territories until now. He opened the station's public terminal and searched for anything about Velari touch sense. After a few minutes, he found something. Velari possess biosensory skin receptors that can detect genetic frequency patterns upon contact. This allows them to identify kin, detect illness, and sometimes recognize hidden traits in others. That made him sit up straight. Hidden traits. He looked at his hands. They were dirty from work, with small scars from years of tools and sharp wires. Just hands. Just him. But what if they weren't? The next day, Ray tried to stay out of sight. He didn't want to run into Mira again. He felt strange. It wasn't fear. Not exactly. It was something else. Like a piece of him had been pulled forward, exposed. But Mira found him anyway. He was fixing a water pump near the east wing when she walked in. She didn't say anything at first. Just waited until he looked up. "I did not tell them," she said. Ray stood slowly. "Why not? They would take you," she said. "Study you, keep you from your life." Ray felt cold. "But I don't even know what I am." Mira stepped closer, her voice quiet. "You are more than what you believe. I felt it. You carry something lost. Something older than both our kinds." Ray's throat felt dry. "So what happens now?" "I don't know," she said. "But others will feel it too. Not just me." She looked around. making sure no one was near. You must find where you came from, before they find you first. Ray didn't answer. His world had already changed. He just hadn't caught up yet. The embassy returned to normal after the explosion. Repairs were made. Security was stronger than before. But one thing did not change. The Queen still chose to sleep in the same room. As the human soldier, Tom never asked why. It was not his place. He was a guard, not a friend. But he noticed the way Queen Vera walked more calmly each day. He noticed that she now looked at people when she spoke. Before, her eyes had stayed cold and distant. Now, there was something else in them, thought. Maybe even comfort. Every night, she entered the small room without speaking. She sat on the edge of the bed, took off her heavy robe, and lay down. Tom sat in his usual chair near the door, his back straight, his eyes watching the shadows. He kept his weapon close. He slept only in short minutes, always alert. That night, the room was quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the air vents. After a long silence, Vera opened her eyes. Tom. She said softly, "Yes, Your Majesty." He replied without moving, "You are not afraid of me." "I am not," he said. "Why?" He paused. "For a moment, because you have not given me a reason to be." She turned her head slightly toward him. Her voice was calm, but her words were honest. "Most are afraid. Even my own people. They see my title, not me." Tom looked at her, but only for a moment. He respected her space. "You speak with kindness. That is more than many rulers do," he said. Vera gave a slow nod. "I once thought strength meant never showing fear, never resting, never trusting others," she said. "But I sleep here now, and I sleep well." "Why?" Tom did not answer right away. Then he said simply, "Because maybe you are safe here." She closed her eyes again. But before she fell asleep, she whispered one more thing. "I have not felt safe since I became queen." Tom stayed silent. He did not need to reply. His presence was enough. The next day, the Queen was scheduled to speak at the Unity Forum, a meeting between human and Scifi leaders. It was a formal event broadcast across both worlds. It was the first time a Scifi queen would speak directly to Earth citizens. She stood tall on the stage, her voice clear. "We fought a war. We lost much. So did you," she said. "But we both survived. Now we must build something stronger than fear. We must build trust." The crowd was quiet. Then came soft applause. It grew louder. People were beginning to listen. Tom stood at her side, as always, in uniform. She glanced at him once as she left the stage, a small glance. But it meant something. That night, she returned to the same room. As usual, Tom waited inside. But something was different. She sat on the bed and did not lie down. "Did I speak well today?" she asked. "You did," Tom replied. "You watched the crowd." "I did." "And what did you see?" "People listening." Vera looked down at her hands. "I used to think power was about being above others. Now I see it is about standing beside them." Tom gave a small nod. She looked at him again. "You stand beside me. Even when I say nothing, even when I do nothing." "I was ordered to guard you," he said. "But you do more than that," she replied. There was a pause. "I used to be alone every night," she said, "even when I was surrounded by guards and walls and gold. Now I sleep in a small room beside a quiet soldier, and I feel less alone." Tom lowered his eyes, unsure what to say. "You are the only one who does not try to change me. You speak honestly. You do not act afraid. You do not ask for favor." "I am just doing my duty," Tom said. "Maybe so," she said, "but I am still thankful." She lay back on the bed and turned her face away. But there was a softness in her voice that had not been there before. That night, Tom did not sleep. Not because of danger, but because something in her words stayed in his mind. The next morning, news spread. A group of protesters had gathered outside the embassy. They were angry that a human soldier was placed so close to the alien queen. Some shouted that Earth was bending too much for peace. Others claimed it was dangerous. Tom was called into a meeting with human commanders. "This assignment may need to end soon," they said. The pressure is growing. Some say it's improper for you to share quarters with her. Tom listened without speaking. He did not argue. He returned to his post. That evening, when Vera arrived, she looked tired. She sat on the bed, removed her crown, and held it in her lap. I heard about the protests, she said. Tom nodded. They may ask you to leave, she said. Maybe, he replied. She looked at him with quiet strength. Will you go if they tell you to? I follow orders, Tom said. She lowered her head. I do not want you to go. Tom said nothing. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, he saw not a queen, not a ruler, but a young woman holding a heavy crown in her lap. Vera spoke again. Softly, I do not sleep for comfort anymore. I sleep because I know someone strong is near, someone who does not lie to me. That is rare in my world. Tom took a deep breath. If I leave, someone else will guard you, he said. But they will not be you, she replied. He had no answer. For that the room was quiet again. Not empty, but full of thoughts neither one could say, and yet, something was clear. This was no longer just about orders. This was about trust. About two people from different worlds, finding peace in silence. Ray stood in the middle of the station garden, still feeling the weight of Mira's words. She had told him he was different, not just in blood, but in purpose, part of something older, something hidden. The thought made his chest tight. He had always believed he was just a simple worker, but now the truth was breaking through the cracks of his life. You must find where you came from, Mira had said. That idea stayed in Ray's head as he returned to his workshop. The space was filled with tools, wires, and machines he had repaired over the past year. He stared at the table for a long time, then reached under the metal floor panel and pulled out a small metal box. Inside was an old chip one he had found buried inside the walls of his parents' old home on Tierna 4. He had never been able to open it. It had no markings, no signal, and no known format. But now, with what Mira said, it felt important. He plugged it into his console and opened his private decryption tool. The screen flashed, then asked for a voice key. He leaned closer and spoke softly. Ray. The screen blinked once. Then it opened and the star map appeared. Not a modern one, but old, made of hand-coded data. Several stars glowed red. One was marked with a symbol he had never seen before, to rings crossing each other. He leaned back. The name beside the symbol read, Vera's grave. Ray didn't know the name, but something about it felt heavy. It was as if his bones remembered it, even if his mind did not. He copied the map to a secure drive, then locked the box again. Later that day, he returned to the garden dome and found Mira sitting near the same pool. She looked up when he arrived. This time, her expression was softer. You found something, she said. Ray sat down beside her and showed her the chip. The moment she saw the star map, her eyes narrowed. I know this place, she whispered. Vera's grave is not a real grave. It is a place our elders hid from history. A station buried in a broken moon. Why would they hide it? Ray asked. Because it holds knowledge from the time before the war. A time when humans and Valari were not enemies. The place is forgotten, even by most of my people. Only old records mention it. Ray looked at the map. It wants me to go there. Mira nodded. Then that is where you must go. But I don't have a ship, Ray said, and I don't think Earth Command will let me leave. She stood and looked at him carefully. Then we will not ask, Ray blinked. You mean steal one? No. She said calmly, we borrow, quietly, without permission. Ray smiled for the first time in days. They met that night in Docking Bay 6. It was the least used part of the station. Most of the guards were watching the transport routes, not private bays. Mira brought a small craft with her Valari design. Smooth and silent. Ray carried the map chip, his toolkit, and a few supplies. He climbed into the ship beside Mira and took a deep breath. You know they'll chase us. She nodded. That is why we must be fast. As the ship left the dock, alarms did not go off. Mira had used her royal access codes to disable them for just 5 minutes. It was enough. They entered orbit without anyone noticing. Once they were in open space, Mira set the ship on autopilot and joined Ray near the navigation screen. "Do you trust me now?" she asked. Ray looked at her and said, "I think I always did." She nodded once and returned to the pilot's seat. The journey took 12 hours. During that time, Ray sat quietly and studied the map. The closer they got, the stronger his heartbeat became. He didn't know why, but something deep inside him was waking up finally. They reached the broken moon. It was a quiet place. Half of the moon had been shattered long ago, the pieces floating around like frozen ash. Inside the largest piece, a structure was hidden, dark, cold, and silent. The entrance glowed faintly as their ship approached. The structure accepted Mira's codes and opened a path. They landed near a long tunnel made of black stone. No lights, no guards, just silence. Ray stepped out first. As his boots touched the surface, he felt a strange warmth in his chest, not from the air, from the place itself. Mira followed close behind. "This is older than I expected," she said. "I can feel the energy. It's still alive." They walked through the tunnel and reached a large round chamber. The walls were covered in symbols, some human, some Valari, some neither. In the center stood a tall crystal, dark but pulsing. With slow light, Ray reached out and placed his hand on it. The moment he touched it, the crystal lit up. The entire chamber shook, and a voice filled the air. "Welcome, bearer of the Ember Seed." Memory link restored. Ray gasped. The light moved through his arm, into his chest, and into his mind. He saw images not real, but like memories from someone else, a time when humans and Valari stood together, a lab where a child was born from both bloods, soldiers watching, a plan made to hide the child, to protect the future. Ray pulled his hand back. His breath was sharp. "I saw everything," he said. "They made me for this." Mira looked at him, her eyes wide. "You were not born by chance. You are the message, the last hope." Ray stood still. He was no longer just a worker. He was something new. Something both human and Valari. And his journey had just begun. The next morning, sunlight touched the quiet base where Rena and her family rested. Birds sang softly in the nearby trees. But the peace was short. Soldiers stood alert. Satellites picked up movement in orbit. A new ship had entered Earth's skies. This one was different, larger than the first, covered in silver panels, shaped like wings. It moved with quiet power. It did not aim weapons. It did not hide. It came with purpose. Rena stood outside the base and watched the ship descend. Her heart was steady, but her thoughts raced. She knew this design. She had grown up inside such a ship. It belonged to her mother. Queen Talon had arrived. The landing was smooth. The circle of Erickson guards stepped out first, dressed in white and gold armor. They scanned the area but made no move toward violence. Then the Queen appeared. She walked with calm grace. Her long cloak trailed behind her. Her eyes were sharp, like ice, but her face held no anger. She looked at Rena, at the human soldiers, and finally at the small boy holding his mother's hand. Rena stepped forward. "Mother." The Queen stopped a few steps away. "You are still alive, and you still carry my blood." Rena nodded. "I am here by choice. I will not hide anymore." The Queen's eyes moved to the boy. "So this is the child." Tom looked up at her, not afraid, only curious. "Are you my grandmother?" The Queen blinked. For a moment, her cold mask softened. "Yes, I am." Rena spoke firmly. "We are not here for war. I came to show the truth. He is your blood, even if his father is human." One of Earth's generals stepped beside Rena. "Your Majesty, we have respected your landing. We ask that you return the same respect." Queen Talon nodded. "I did not come to harm. I came to see with my own eyes." She turned to her daughter. "You disobeyed the Empire. You vanished. You bore a child without the Council's blessing." "I chose life over fear," Rena replied, "and now he has the right to live free." The Queen looked at Tom once more. "He carries power. He carries peace," Rena said. The Queen stepped back. "Then he must be tested." Mark stepped forward quickly. "He's just a boy." The Queen looked at him, silent for a moment. "You are the father." Mark nodded. Yes, you care for him, she said. More than anything, Mark replied. The Queen gave a slight nod. Then let him speak. Tom looked confused. What do I say? The Queen kneeled to meet his eyes. Tell me who you are. Tom thought for a moment. I'm Tom. I like drawing. I like stars. I want to be good. Do you know who you are? She asked again. Tom touched his chest. I'm both Earth and Rixa. The Queen looked at Rena. He understands. That night, a quiet meeting was held inside the base. The Queen sat across from Earth's leaders, her daughter beside her. Soldiers waited outside. Tension filled the air, but no one raised their voice. The Queen explained the laws of the Rixa Empire. Our bloodlines are protected. Only those born of royal houses may inherit power. But never in our history has one been born of two worlds. One of the generals asked, Is that a danger to you? It is a challenge, the Queen answered. Some on the council believe this child threatens our order. Others believe he is a chance for change. The general replied, On Earth, we have feared alien power. But this boy is more than power. He is also a child. Rena spoke next. He doesn't need to lead empires. He only needs to grow in peace. But if one day he must choose, I want him to choose with understanding, not fear. Queen Talon stood. Then he must see both sides. Rena's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Bring him to Rixa, the Queen said. Let him see our world. Let him decide if he belongs. Mark stood. He's too young to be taken away. He will not be taken, the Queen replied. He will be welcomed, then returned. That is my promise. Rena looked at her son. Tom stood in the corner, drawing pictures of stars and ships. She knew his heart was kind, but the path ahead would not be simple. She turned to the Queen. Only if I come with him. Of course, said the Queen. Birth's leaders agreed, under one condition. A human ambassador would join them, someone to observe and protect Tom's interest. Mark stepped forward. I will go. Rena placed a hand on his shoulder. Are you sure? Mark looked at his son. He's my child. I will not let him face this alone. 2 days later, the Queen's ship lifted into the sky once more. Inside were the Queen, her daughter, her grandson, and the boy's father, 4 people from 2 worlds, flying toward a new future. Tom stood at the window. Stars filled the darkness. He held his mother's hand and pointed. Is that your planet? Rena smiled. Yes, and soon, it will be yours too. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. Ahead, the lights of Rixa waited. Ray sat on the cold floor of the hidden chamber, breathing slowly. His hand still tingled from touching the crystal. He looked up and saw Mira watching him. Her face showed both surprise and worry. That crystal knew you, she said softly. It spoke to you, like it was waiting. Ray nodded. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. I saw memories, not mine, from a time before us, before the war. They made someone like me to carry a message. What message? Mira asked. I don't know yet, Ray said, but I think it's still here. He stood and looked around the round chamber. The glowing symbols on the walls had changed. They were shifting slowly, like a puzzle being solved. Mira walked closer to them and ran her hand over one. This language is Old Velari, she said. It says, to unite what was broken, the truth must be seen through the eyes of both. Ray turned to her. Then maybe it takes both of us to open it. Mira stepped beside him. Together, they placed their hands on the glowing wall. A soft hum filled the air. The wall moved. A door opened behind it, revealing a second chamber. They stepped inside. This room was smaller. A large circular table sat in the middle, surrounded by stone pillars. On each pillar was a small orb, each one glowing with faint light. One orb was brighter than the others. Ray walked to it and picked it up. The orb pulsed and projected an image into the air. A man appeared, dressed in old-style Earth military clothing. He had dark eyes and a quiet voice. His message began to play. My name is Commander Brenholden. The man said, if you're hearing this, it means the Ember Seed is returned. That means the plan worked. Ray and Mira stood frozen. The message continued. Decades ago, a group of humans and Velari chose peace. We knew war would return, but we believed in a future beyond conflict. To protect that future, we created the embassy, a living child with both bloods. A person who could carry knowledge hidden from both sides. Ray swallowed. That's me, he whispered. You were hidden, the message said, placed on a quiet planet. Raised without knowing the truth. But now the time has come. War is growing again. Fear is rising. You are the bridge. The message ended, and the orb dimmed. Ray looked at Mira. They may need to stop the next war. Mira's face was serious. If that's true, we must return. But it won't be easy. They returned to the ship and launched back into orbit. But as they left the moon's shadow, warning lights flashed. Mira checked the screen. A patrol ship. Valari, she said. They found us. Ray moved to the co-pilot seat. How did they know we were here? Mira looked tense. Someone must have tracked my access codes. They know I left. The enemy ship sent a signal. Surrender. Power down your ship. You are under arrest. Ray looked at Mira. We can't let them take the crystal data. She nodded. I'll fly. You protect the message. The small ship spun sharply and darted between asteroid pieces near the broken moon. The enemy followed, firing short bursts to disable them. Not destroy. Ray opened the storage case and removed the crystal memory. He copied the map and message data into a portable drive, then destroyed the original system with a small overload tool. The memory was now only in his pocket. Mira flew with skill, dodging through rocks and pulling sharp turns. The enemy ship kept close. We can't outrun them for long, she said. Ray studied the sensor screen. There's a gas cloud ahead, thick enough to block scans. Mira nodded and guided the ship into the glowing mist. The screen went dark. For a moment, silence returned. Then, something struck their hull. The ship shook. An old piece of metal from a wreck inside the cloud had hit them. We're leaking fuel, Mira said. We need to land soon. Ray checked the nearby map. There's a mining moon not far. Abandoned years ago. Mira turned the ship. Then that's where we hide. They landed on the rocky surface of the forgotten mining base. The station was cold and empty. Dust covered every surface. But the shelter worked, and the air was safe. Inside the base, Ray and Mira repaired what they could. The ship's engines needed time. While they worked, they talked. Do you think your people will forgive this? Ray asked. Mira looked at him carefully. Not all of them are like the ones who chased us. Some want peace. Some are tired of the war. But it's dangerous to speak openly. Ray nodded. Same on the human side. People follow orders. They forget to ask why. Mira leaned against the wall. If we can bring this message to both sides, maybe we can change things. Not maybe, Ray said. We have to. That night, Ray sat alone and held the crystal drive in his hand. He didn't know if they would succeed. He didn't even know if anyone would listen. But something inside him had changed. He wasn't just running anymore. He was walking towards something, a purpose, a truth, and he would see it through. Outside the shelter, the stars kept shining. The royal ship moved through space like a silent bird gliding through the wind. Inside, everything was clean, bright, and quiet. White walls curved smoothly, and soft lights glowed gently across the floors. Tom had never seen anything like it. He walked beside his mother, one hand holding hers and the other dragging a small bag filled with drawings. Mark followed close behind. The Queen walked ahead, leading them deeper into the heart of her empire. As they neared Arixa, the windows revealed a grand world. It shimmered blue and silver. Wide oceans wrapped around tall green mountains. Floating towers stood above the clouds. Hundreds of ships flew in clean patterns across the skies. Tom gasped, "It looks like a dream." Rena smiled softly. "This was my home long ago." Mark said nothing. His eyes stayed sharp. He trusted Rena, but he did not trust the Empire. The ship landed near the Capitol Palace. Large walkways stretched across water and gardens. A group of Erickson nobles waited to greet the Queen. Most stood still and silent. A few glanced at the boy with curious eyes. One woman, tall and thin with short silver hair, stepped forward. "Is this the half-blood?" she asked the Queen. Queen Talon raised her hand. His name is Tom. He is my grandson. You will speak with respect. The woman bowed slightly. Forgive me. I speak for the High Council. They request to meet the boy. Not yet, the queen said. He will rest first. Guards led them to their rooms. Rena's old chamber had been cleaned and reopened. Tom ran around the large space, amazed by the floating furniture and glowing walls. He touched a panel, and the ceiling turned into a view of the stars. Mark looked around, uneasy. They gave us too much. Nothing is ever free in places like this. Rena replied, I agree. But we stay alert, and we stay together. Later, a soft bell rang. A royal servant entered with an invitation. The boy is asked to walk the gardens with the council children. The queen says he must be seen. Rena frowned. Will there be guards? Yes, Lady Rena, and you may go too. Tom was excited. Can I take my drawings? Rena nodded. But stay close to me. The royal gardens were full of color. Trees from other worlds stood beside blue flowers that sang in the wind. A group of children stood waiting. Most wore pale robes and silver jewelry. They looked at Tom with surprise. He looked different. Human clothes, brown eyes, a simple smile. One boy stepped forward. Why are your ears round? Tom touched his ear. I was born this way. The other children laughed a little, but not in a mean way. Another girl showed him her drawing board. Can you draw? Tom nodded and opened his bag. He showed them a picture of Earth, with green trees, rivers, and a small house with a garden. The Erickson children gathered around him. It's so simple. One said, but it feels warm. Double quotes. Mark watched from the side. He relaxed a little as he saw the children talking peacefully. Even the guards stayed still. Rena stood beside him. He's doing better than I hoped, she whispered. He always surprises us. Mark said, soon. A message came from the palace. The council will see the boy tomorrow. Said a guard. They want to test his knowledge and power. That evening, Rena sat with Tom and explained. They won't hurt you. They only want to know who you are. But answer only if you feel safe. You don't have to prove anything. Tom nodded. Will you be with me? I'll never be far, she said. The next day, the great hall of the council opened. 12 members sat in a high circle. Each one was old, wise, and full of history. Queen Talon stood beside them. Tom entered the chamber with calm steps. His mother and father stayed at the edge, watching closely. One of the council elders, a man with deep blue skin and white eyes, spoke first. Child, tell us your name. Tom replied. Tom, what do you know of this world? Another asked. I saw the gardens, the towers. The sky is softer than Earth's. They asked more questions, some about Rixa, others about Earth. They were surprised by how much he knew. Rena had taught him well. Then came a test. A stone was placed before him. It was not a normal stone. It carried ancient power. Only those of royal blood could lift it, touch the stone. Said the elder, if you are of the queen's line, it will glow. Tom looked at his mother. She nodded gently. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft light began to rise from it. Gold and blue threads swirled around his fingers. The council gasped. The elder spoke. He is royal. Without doubt, another said, and yet human. This has never happened. Queen Talon raised her voice. You asked for proof. Now you have it. He is of my line, and of Earth. The future does not wait for permission. It is already here. Some members nodded. Others stayed silent. After the meeting, the queen met Rena and Mark in private. The council will not act yet, but they will watch closely. They do not trust what they do not control. Mark asked, are we safe here? For now, yes, said the queen. But the balance is thin. The boy must not be forced into choosing sides too early. Rena held her son close at night. He slept deeply, unaware of the storms building around him. She looked at Mark. Whatever happens next, we stand together. Mark nodded. Always, far. Above the palace, stars drifted in silence. But in the heart of the empire, change had already begun. The days passed slowly in the great palace of Rixa. Tom grew more comfortable with the strange world around him. He learned the ways of the Empire. But he also remembered the green fields and blue skies of Earth. His heart belonged to both. Rena and Mark stayed close, teaching him both worlds' stories. They told him about Earth's mountains and oceans. They told him about Rix's floating cities and ancient traditions. Tom listened, eyes bright with hope. Queen Talon watched her grandson carefully. She had never seen a child like him, part human, part Erickson. He was a symbol of hope, but also of risk. The council still whispered in shadows. Some wanted to use Tom's power for war. Others believed he could build peace. One morning, the queen called a meeting with her closest advisors. They spoke in low voices about the future. He has great power, said one. We must decide if he will rule. He is too young, said another. Let him grow first. Queen Talon raised her hand for silence. He is a child of two worlds. We will not force him to choose. We will help him learn both paths. The decision was clear. Tom would be trained not as a weapon, but as a bridge. Meanwhile, Earth waited. Anxiously, news of Tom's journey had spread. People hoped for peace. Some feared a new war. But in the palace, the boys slept peacefully, dreaming of two homes. One day, Tom stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The sun shone on silver towers. Birds flew between clouds. He held Rena's hand and looked to the stars. Will I ever live on Earth again? He asked quietly. Rena smiled. You will go back. When the time is right, you belong there too. Mark, join them, and we will always be together. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Ships appeared on the horizon. They were not Erickson. They flew fast and carried weapons. Alarm bells rang through the palace. Queen Talon appeared, her face serious. They come from the council's enemies. They fear what Tom represents. They want to capture him. The palace prepared for battle. Guards armed themselves. Rena held Tom tightly. This is our moment, she said. Mark nodded. We fight for him, for both worlds. The attackers landed in the city. The battle was fierce but short. The palace defenders were strong. Tom watched from inside, fear and courage mixing in his heart. Then, something inside him changed. A light grew from his hands. It filled the room with warmth and power. The enemies stopped. Stunned by the boy's strength, Queen Talon stepped forward. He is not a weapon to use. He is a hope to follow. The attackers retreated. The palace was safe, but the war was not over. After the battle, Tom stood before the council. His voice was steady. I do not want war. I want peace. I want to live in both worlds. The council listened. Some nodded slowly. Others still looked doubtful. Queen Talon smiled. He speaks with the heart of a queen. The future is not just power, but understanding. The decision was made. Tom would be the first ambassador between Earth and Rixa, a new bridge for peace. In friendship, Rena and Mark hugged him tightly. We are proud of you, Mark said. Tom smiled. I will do my best. Years passed. Tom traveled between the stars and Earth. He met leaders, learned cultures, and helped build new friendships. People saw not an alien or a human, but a symbol of hope. Queen Talon watched with pride. The Empire had changed. The world had changed, and a lost daughter's return had brought a new future.